Man.
What's wrong, Tony?
I just can't pass this water temple. I just can't.
Fear not, gamers. Moss is here.
Wow, Moss is here. He's kind of a big deal.
Yes, I am. And I'm here to tell you to check out ZeldaDungeon.net for all your Legend of Zelda needs. Stuck on a dungeon?
Uh-huh.
We've got you covered. We've got the most extensive Zelda walkthroughs on the net.
Wow.
News, previews, articles, walkthroughs, and so much more. ZeldaDungeon.net. And don't forget about the entire Dungeon Gaming family. Gen Game, Pokemon, Darksiders, we've got it all. And if we don't have it, you don't need it.
Thanks, Moss!
You're welcome.
Whoosh. Hello and welcome once again to the Forward Compatible Podcast. This is episode 65, part 2, for March 5th, 2013. My name's Tony, and I'm joined, as always, by my fellow podcasters, Jason and Mark.
Part two.
I'm still not back yet.
Yeah.
Florida.
Of course, this is part 2 of this week's episode. If you have yet to check out part 1, please do click out, or wait till the end of the show and click out for that as well, where you'll be able to catch this week's video gaming news and reader questions.
Reader Digest.
It's not what it's called.
Gmail!
I didn't do it today. Like, apparently I'm just going to have an off day all day.
Gmail.
Womp womp.
But,
You guys are gonna make me do it, aren't you?
for this part... Oh, what?
I'm gonna give everyone a teaser.
Teaser.
What are you teasing?
I'm gonna play it from here, so it might not come through great, but I'm gonna play it from here. Since you guys fucked up and didn't do the Gmail intro like we're supposed to, I'm gonna play that.
Here we go.
everybody.
Alright. Oh, God. Is it time for,
This is pretty good.
So there's an exclusive on some of the stupid shit that we're working on coming up here.
Yeah, that way we don't have to scream it every week. He's
Yeah.
also making me a Tony's Topic of the Week song. Less Siri.
Siri will probably be in it.
You're going to mix her in?
She might be.
Bastard.
Hey, they liked it.
But until that time, you guys will just have to deal with... Boo-doo, boo-doo, ba-doo, boo-doo, Tony's Topic of the Week. And this week, in all honesty, I was scrambling for a topic this week. And then, late in the week, I read an article regarding the upcoming, what I'm assuming is going to be a blockbuster in Grand Theft Auto 5. And Rockstar was talking about the sheer scope of the upcoming title, and it got me thinking.
Tony's Topic of the Week.
Yes. Very, very good, Siri.
Yes! Siri threw him off track.
Siri's such a cunt.
That's going to be the new thing. I'm just going to make her talk shit to you through the whole show.
Who's your bitch?
Yeah. So I got me thinking about specifically if games are getting a little bit too big, involving a little bit too much content. I know you guys are both looking at me weird. I actually do have some good points to bring up, but should we kick it off with some initial thoughts?
Initial thoughts. I think I know where you might go with this, and I in some ways I'm definitely going to agree with you as well. So, but we'll get more into that as we go by.
Yes and no. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but there's two ends of the spectrum. There's a game like Skyrim that is like 1 million hours long.
Never-ending game.
Yeah, but then you
Song
have
that never ends.
you have a $60
It goes on
title
and on, my
like
friends.
Call of Duty, where the single
Some
player
people
campaign.
started singing it, not knowing what it was.
It's
And they'll continue singing it forever just because.
It's a song that never ends. Okay.
Sorry, go ahead, Jason. And it goes on and on. Sorry, okay. I'm done, seriously.
Whole way home, you're going to sing it.
You sure?
Yeah, for real.
This is the song that never ends.
Are you just going to Siri record everything?
Jason,
Okay.
now Siri.
So you were saying there's Skyrim goes on
Yes.
forever. You're not even talking anymore? You're just going to Siri everything in?
This might take a while. Siri is going to be our third member.
I can't type that fast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, but then on the other end of the spectrum, you have a game like Call of Duty where it's like a 4-hour campaign for $60.
Yeah, but you're also
Call
going
of
to...
Duty.
With something like Call of
Call
Duty...
of Duty.
Yeah. And it... Oh, okay. I thought you were going to do it again. With Call of Duty, you have...
Call or Duty.
You have Call or Duty? Is that what the thing's saying? Did you fucking have a typo?
No, she did it.
You have multiplayer and more recently the Spec Ops / zombie modes, which add some length to the overall gameplay value. So, I mean, you're not strictly stuck to the 4 hours of campaign.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
But some people do pick it up just for the story, and they are disappointed with it. Usually, it's good, but it's a tight campaign.
very fast. Okay. So, the main separation, and I think Call of Duty was a great starting block with the Skyrim versus Call of Duty debate, because it's exactly what my first point was, which is open world versus linear. With something more linear, you're going to be kind of in your shooter category or some kind of maybe even sporting games, because there's only so much it can go.
Yes and no.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. I mean, if you're not done
No,
with that,
please,
thought.
please. I only have like 15 bullet
When
points.
when you
let's
have a
stretch 'em out.
there's a game like Legend of Zelda, okay, and like the older ones where there, because I know Skyward Sword was a little bit more open with what it was, what you were able to do with it, but a game like that was very linear. You had to do it in order to get to the next part, but they were still able to stretch out the experience.
Okay. Are you talking like the first Zelda? Because the first Zelda, you could have went anywhere you wanted almost.
No, I'm referring
You
more
got
to
your
like
ass kicked.
Ocarina of Time, Link to the Past, Wind Waker. I mean, yeah, sure, those in general are open world games. You can walk wherever you want and everything, but you had to progress in a certain order.
Well, see, back then, I still think games were properly timed. I'm thinking this is more of a problem that has started very recently, where this generation with a little bit going into last generation.
Yeah, okay.
I got a lot of bullet points coming up on it. Like, okay, let's kick it off over here.
Okay.
We'll start with like menial missions. Since Jason brought up Skyward Sword, I know that there was shit. I forget now. I'm blanking on it. What was it? A fishing?
Oh yeah.
Or was that not Skyward Sword? I'm getting them all confused.
Which one are the fishing?
What, Zelda?
Yeah.
I know what he's talking about. I just don't know which one.
Ocarina had it.
All right. This was a terrible example.
There's a bunch of them that fetch quests.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was saying. Menial missions that basically you guys have all experienced these. They're stupid things that
Delivery quests.
yeah,
as well.
Yeah, they're things that get thrown into the game just to add time. I know Fable is really guilty of this. You'd be somewhere. You'd be in this part of town, whatever. I don't remember any of the names. Cobblestone Village or whatever the fuck they were called. I don't remember. But you're over here.
Fable sucks.
It sent you 3 or 4 towns over in the game to pick up a quest to send you right back where you were to then send you back to turn it in. And it's like, this could have all been avoided. This was very unnecessary. And it
Just send a messenger to me.
yeah,
Let me know.
it just has you running around the game to kill time. I don't know.
No, I mean I agree. I mean it's just there's not really a point with it. I think some games have alleviated that where you can either I'm blanking on what it was, but you could figure out what the quests were and you could like warp right there. I'm trying to think what it is.
What are you talking, like fast travel systems?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, essentially, it was a fast travel system. Once a new mission would
Red
come
Dead.
up.
Had a great one
yeah.
that Mark never understood and
It's
gave
'cause
up on the game because of it. And
Okay, well, that was stupid because you had to have no roads around you when there's a road almost at all times on the map, and you had to run off in a bumblefuck just to get across the map because the map in itself was kind of boring. But it's a desert. I understand that. I'm not docking points from that, but I don't want to run across
think you
the
are.
fucking map.
sounds like you're docking fucking
Okay,
points.
there's two games that.
Point Docker.
Okay, well, there's that, and there's also Far Cry 2, which has awful with its map. Like that, there's just games where you give me a whole place to go around,
Nothing's
and
happening.
it's just nothing happening, or it's boring to go through. It's repetitive. It's mostly it's because of the repetition. That's what gets to me. Far Cry had you'd go through checkpoints, you'd go kill everyone the checkpoint just to progress. Red Dead just had you go across the entire desert. All right, I see it. All right, tap A for 2 minutes until you get to the place you need to be. Boring as shit.
Well, more recently, Borderlands 2, they had a decent amount of side missions.
That's what I was thinking of, actually. Because actually, when they became available, it lets you know exactly where they were. It just said unavailable, and all you had to do was go to that zone and it'd show exactly where it was.
Go ahead.
This, real quickly, it actually segues perfectly into my next topic, and that was non-menial missions, but fluffer missions. And I think Borderlands 2 is a prime example of something that has fluffer missions.
Borderlands in general.
Yeah, and by I may be using the wrong terms. By menial, I mean it adds nothing to the story. It's just something literally tacked on to kill time. Go kill 3 minutes walking here and walk back 3 more minutes to turn in a stupid letter that contributes nothing to the story.
I really think you can blame like MMOs and role-playing games from that because of the level progression system. You can't have an entire story that goes until you're level 50. You have to add the fluff missions, and I think a lot of because Borderlands 1 was originally trying to be that crossover between a first-person shooter and kind of like a role-playing game. So I think they took a lot of those, and that's why they're into, and because you need to level up. You need quests there that don't do anything. You get gear and level.
But, and I think that's where you were kind of going.
Fluffer missions add.
Yeah. Even though it's not a part of the main story, it's at least entertaining. So
Or giving you pieces of backstories that you don't necessarily need.
Like when you're going through and you're picking up Handsome Jack's audio files.
Yeah.
And you're finding out that he was just some peon guy and, and everything. And you find out why he's wearing the mask and everything like that. You can breeze through them. You don't have to do them. You can do them just to grind. But they do add some content, some backstory. And usually the missions are kind of funny to the story, too.
Yeah. Okay, since we're kind of on it, what are our thoughts on side missions?
For me, if handled properly, I don't have a problem with them.
I'm the exact same way. I think Borderlands did have some side missions that actually did add a lot to the overall gameplay experience. You met some new characters, or there was a point to them. Like you got a better experience out of it. But then they definitely had a good handful of them as well, where it was the bounty board missions just seemed to be missions that they had because they weren't fleshed out to have a character to give them to.
To me, I just think it's more the game. Like, I know we've been using Borderlands 2 as an example pretty much the entire episode, but that game, you kind of knew what you were getting into. That's exactly that type of game. It's running around, it's questing, it's doing menial fucking tasks. It's delivering this and going and grabbing that and going to do this for experience. Where I don't like side missions, like Jason was saying, when they don't add anything, but in a different type of story. Like a lot of the Borderlands 2 missions don't add anything, but it's okay.
You're collecting porno mags for Scooter.
Yeah, but it's okay
funny
because that's that game. That's that style of game. You knew what you were getting into. When you have something more like when you're playing it for like a story, I know the first thing that pops into my mind is Uncharted Golden Abyss, the Vita version. Great game, but they had to keep adding these side tasks to try, because it was a launch title, so they wanted to showcase the hardware. So you get your great blockbuster Uncharted game, your AAA story, everything's excellent. I love that game. It's probably my favorite Vita game they've made. But then you got these weird things like there was one mission where you had to literally hold your Vita, the camera on the back, up to a light a real light, like a light bulb or the sun, to be able to. I forget how it exactly tied in, but you needed, like in the game, you needed to hold it up to I think a torch because you were in a cave to see what was on the canvas. So it made the screen black out, and you had to literally hold it up to light because the camera's light sensitive.
Oh no, I'm playing in the dark.
To start exposing what was on the screen and stuff like that. I mean, I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to immerse you in the story or whatever, but it just seems like it had no place in that style of game. And there's even weirder shit. Like that was just the first example. A lot of games they send you off on these little things that just don't contribute much, and they really don't belong in that style of game. If it's an experience, an XP based game, sure, because you got to milk it somewhere or another. With games like Diablo, where you got to run through the same dungeons eventually over and over and over to try to find those rare pieces and to build your XP. You knew that getting into that game. It's not strictly based on story, where it's very. It doesn't even have to necessarily be linear, but just something that I don't know. You understand what you're getting into. So.
I think a lot of traditional JRPGs are guilty of the stupid side mission that doesn't really contribute to the story also, just to kind of grind up the XP or get an item that'll help increase your chances of fighting this boss or getting this drop. And sure, I understand the need for it again, but I think if it's executed properly, it's acceptable. But if it's, like the story doesn't really contribute, it's just a waste of time.
Yeah. To me, I don't know. Even with it, man, I totally lost my train of thought.
Like, I'll keep going while you think about it. The completionist in me wants to do all of them. But on the flip side, I get pissed off because I've got to do all these stupid side missions.
Okay, what I was going to say just came to me. With JRPGs and any game that runs off experience, there's no rule that says you can't make all of those. Like, they don't have to be dumb. Go to this mailbox and get this fucking one thing. Like, I understand you're trying to milk XP. Why don't you make an XP an actual cool mission? Why don't you make me go do something that contributes? Like, to run out and actually do something in that story that's going to progress the story, I guess. I don't know.
A prime example would be, let's say you walk into a town and it's unrelated to the story, but it's a little side story about maybe something going on with the villagers. They're being attacked by a monster in a cave. You got to run off to fight that monster, and then as a reward, the villagers give you the gem that'll help you boost your XP amount instead of, oh no, I can't get this letter to my loved one. I mean, it's just the thought process that goes into it.
The new Star Wars MMO actually kind of started to do something like that. It wasn't every mission, but they definitely gave you a few missions in there where they give you another objective. It was an optional objective, and if you did them, it actually would it gave you more XP when you turned it in, and some of them actually gave you extra gear as well, just to get you. I mean, that would negate doing some menial task mission by killing 25 things instead of just running through. Which was nice because it does lead to more XP, I think.
Let's hop into like a little question thing here. If you guys need a minute to think about it, by all means, go ahead. When you guys are looking for a new game, I know there's so many different styles and genres that it kind of all gets lost in the shuffle. Like a guy like me, I enjoy various walks of life when it comes to gaming. I enjoy a little bit of everything. Sometimes I'm in the mood for a shooter that's very linear. Sometimes I'm in the mood for a huge action fucking adventure that's going to take, whatever. But when you really sum it up, what do you guys feel is like your ideal amount of hours that a story in a campaign, not including multiplayer, should come? Like, what's the zone?
I'm gonna use a good example that I know I reference a lot, but Gears of War 3 ran about 18?
Was it?
I think so. It was pretty fucking long.
That game was weighted weird. Like, I know Act 1 is longer than everything.
Regardless,
by far.
though, yeah. I feel for that. I mean, I breezed through Gears 2 in probably 5-6 hours. So to have this, and no pun intended, this epic campaign where it's a conclusion.
Pun was intended.
No, where it's a conclusion of the story, stretched out, and I don't feel, for me, that there was any dull moments in the story. Everything contributed to it. As to where, and I'm not knocking it, but I can't get into a Skyrim or a Fallout because there's just too much and there's not enough focus on it. I usually like a solid 20, 25-hour campaign. Something that when I'm done with it, I'm not just breezing through it and it's over and done with, but when I'm done, I feel like I completed something.
Gotcha, Sid.
For me, I'm on the lower end of hours wise. I'm definitely around like the 10 plus. Anything 10 hours and over is fine by me. Generally, anything lower than that just seems to, like, Gears Judgment was ridiculously short.
Yeah.
Wow, that was one of the shortest single player games I've almost ever played. I think, with the exception of a few Call of Duties.
It wasn't far off from a Call of Duty.
No, it wasn't. And like literally, I'm a completionist. So literally, you give me a 10-hour campaign, I'll probably end up putting 20 hours into it. Like Saints Row 3, I put 20 hours into that. Borderlands 2, I actually am ridiculous. I have almost 2 days played.
Yeah.
I mean, it just varies. I mean, give me something to do. Give me at least 10 hours. I feel I can get $60, worth of content out of it.
Yeah, I'm also on the lower end of the spectrum. I feel the target area should be the 12 to 16 hour area. I just feel like one of my favorite genres is probably like the action platforming type genre, and those games.
It's hard to get 12 hours of those.
Huh?
Very hard to get 12 hours out of those.
Yeah, I think that's a great zone. It kind of goes back to the too much media thing. Like, I want to move on. I want to play a game, experience it, and check out what's new. But you occasionally run into something like an Uncharted or Tomb Raider for me personally. Like, Tomb Raider, you could probably fly through that game in 8 or 9 hours. I'm talking about the new one that just got released this past year. But I managed to, by choice, to stretch that out to the low 20 hour zone because I was running around, I was collecting stuff, I was upgrading weapons, and that stuff takes time. Where they kind of give you the option, you're available to just kind of run through it, see what the story had to offer, and get in and out in 8-10 hours. Or you can almost double your campaign, like with Mark was saying with Borderlands or Saints Row. Yeah, where if you elect to, you could run through, you could be a completionist and get twice as much out of the game for $60, then move on and get something new. Very similar to what Jason was saying. I have a really, really hard time getting into Rockstar games. I have a hard time getting into the Elder Scrolls series. I have a hard time. The games are just too fucking long, and the hours that you're committing to one game, you could very easily have complete. You could have 4 or 5 different experiences.
Yeah. And like I was saying, I mean, for me, I'm a little bit more picky with what I play. I don't really bash anything. I razz a little bit. Yeah. But like,
have it up. You have it up.
Yeah, but in general, I am a completionist. So if I'm putting that time in to collect everything, I want to show something for it. Like I said, like a 20 for me, 20 hours with 100% complete. And I'm not talking achievements or anything. I'm just saying, see everything that the game has to offer.
Yeah, that's what I mean with Saints Row. Yeah. I had 20 hours and I had 100% complete and everything.
Yeah, and to see what the game has to offer.
And because both you guys jumped on it as well with Skyrim, that game is actually too much for me because I'm a completionist just like you guys, and that is just way too long. Like, I again would miss out on so much stuff if I concentrated on Skyrim. Mm-hmm. Awesome game, I love it. I mean, it's gonna be a long time before I go to pick it up because I feel like I waste too much time.
I've tried them, and I guess just for me, there's a sweet spot for me. If it's too short, I don't feel like I got my money's worth. But if it's too long, I feel it's too unfocused for me to be able to dedicate the time to.
See, I ended up loving Fallout 3 because it was in that very good range hour wise. I think I put like 40 into it and got I got a lot done in it, not everything. And then I think with Vegas was actually really short. The time when I was playing it, I didn't really want to go off and side mission it. Mm-hmm. I really think I was done in maybe under 10 hours in New Vegas. Like, it was, if you just went to the main story, it was pretty short. And I'm not sure what I want with the next one because of it.
It's just too much. There's too much fluff in those games. Like, I remember trying to pop in Grand Theft Auto 4 couple months back, I guess, because when the stuff was heating up before the delay with Grand Theft Auto 5, I'm like, let me revisit the series and see what it's all about and stuff. And I started a new save and everything, and it was just so dumb. It's like you have to go on this stupid fucking date, and you have to take the chick bowling.
When you went through first time, it wasn't so bad, though.
Yeah,
Because I did the exact same thing you did. In the last 6 months, I've also gone back to start a new save in Grand Theft Auto, and I was kind of turned off at the beginning of it, and I didn't want to play through to get to the good part, which is 5-6 hours in.
And I think for me, like, if the game doesn't hook me right at the beginning, I get bored. Like, prime example, I like the
Red
Grand
Dead
Theft Auto
for me.
series, but if I get bored, I just start blowing shit up, and then I turn it off because I done fucked up my save.
Yeah.
It's almost like discouraging to me. Like when I start a new game, and one of the first things I do when I pop in a fresh game is check out the achievement or trophy list, and then you kind of get an idea in your mind of what you're supposed to be trying to do to complete the most possible through your playthrough. And in my head, it's just the way my brain works. It's like every video game is like a tree, where you're all going to start at the bottom, with the trunk basically, and then you're going to branch off into so many different directions with all the little stuff that you can add with, whether it be collectibles or mission tapes or audio tapes or what have you, or, the main mission, side mission. There's just different ways to approach everything. And it just becomes so daunting so quickly on some of these newer games where it's just like, you get an hour in, and then you just like, you're looking around, and you're just like, this is so goddamn much. I don't want to do half this fucking crap. And it's bad because sometimes I want that extreme experience, but sometimes I kind of want to be babied in a sense where it's just like, I just want to play the mission and not miss anything and not have to worry about if my choice is going to affect some big part of it. It's like, dude, I don't
Do
want
I miss out on achievements by doing this?
do I miss out on part of the story? Do I miss out on part of the experience because I'm electing to do this versus that?
For me, one of the big appeals, besides the fact that it was a Batman game, was Arkham Asylum, because you could explore. There was things to get, but the story was very focused. It was very linear, but then you had the option just to like wander around and go, oh, hey, look, there's Mr. Freeze's cell. It gave you that little bit of leeway, and it didn't force you to go looking for the stuff. It was optional.
Yeah. I know one of the worst ones for me is like when I was getting with Borderlands 2, when I was playing that pretty religiously when it first came out. And that was one of the worst offenders of it, along with like Skyrim, anything in the Elder Scrolls or Rockstar universe. Actually, you get a side mission, you go to do that one thing, and on your way, you're like unlocking another 4 side missions, and it's just like it becomes so discouraging. You're just like, Jesus, like I haven't even touched the main story yet, and I keep running into these people that need help and all this other shit, and it's just like. Becomes daunting. I don't know how else to just say it. I mean, certain games like I know I revert back to it a lot, but I'm going to use it as another example with like Uncharted. It's like you were saying with Batman. It's very focused. It doesn't really baby you, but you can't change the story. Everybody who played that gets virtually the same experience as long as you play it within a week and your memory doesn't
and you pay attention to what's going on. You pay attention to the details.
You're gonna get the same exact story. Yeah, you'll miss out on some treasures, but the cool thing with Uncharted is the treasures and the collectibles don't really mean much. They don't unlock some hidden story or some backstory. They're very meaningless. So if you want to skip over all of them, that's great. They're really just trophy fluffers. That's all they are. They're there to pad.
I know
numbers.
Batman gave a little backstory, but it was mostly just like character descriptions, and then there was the whole finding the history of Arkham, which was cool though. For being little fluff side missions.
It's almost like a majority of the time. I want to say because sometimes I do like that engrossing experience like a Skyrim where there's just so much to do and so much to see and so much to experience. It's kind of cool once in a while. But I want to say probably more than that, probably 90-something% of the time. I'd almost prefer to have like a condensed small game without any of the BS, maybe get through it in 8 or 10 hours, see everything it has to see, and just not add all the BS that game developers seem to use as it's almost a mind trick where we see right through it, but we just accept it as part of modern gaming, where they add crap in just to pad the numbers, to fluff it, to make the game experience seem like it's longer or to seem like it has more depth than it actually does. And all it does to me is infuriate me. And I don't know. It's just like, dude, this isn't necessary. I'd rather have a clean, shorter story to fly through it and get to the next experience than sit there and deal with letter delivery. I don't know. I don't know how else to put it.
Quick question for you, and I know I have my gripes with the game, but how was your experience for Resident Evil 6? Because that was a pretty unique approach to going back and extending the gameplay, but I think they did it. I'm going to give them a little bit of. I think they kind of did it right.
I loved Resident Evil 6.
How dare you?
I know me and Jason goof around about it a lot, but what they did was honestly brilliant in my opinion. I love when stuff does this. It's very similar to, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the either late 90s or early 2000s movie called Go.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, it's very similar to what Resident Evil did, where it's basically
Crash did it too.
Crash did it. Exactly, Crash did it. It's one story. It's like 5 or 6 hours, but you keep replaying it from a different perspective. It's that same one linear story, but since in like Resident Evil 6's case, there's 3 different groups. So you see the same exact thing unfolding from 3 different perspectives. And they overlap enough where it's cool because, like, you know, as you're playing as Chris, and then you hop in as Leon, and then you run into Chris. And you played Chris the first part. You're like, you remember running into Leon, and then as Leon, you're running into your former self, playing the same story again. It's just really cool. I think that kind of storytelling is brilliant.
More recently, actually, the first actual DLC for Dishonored was that. You actually got to play as the main villain in their first DLC. It got phenomenal reviews, and you do the exact same thing. You're playing as the villain this time. You get to see the same events unfold as the villain this time, which is really cool.
It'd be like, I thought that would have made a cooler Gears of War spinoff if they would have showed it from the... We've talked about this before. If they or even as a Halo spinoff to start showing it from the Covenant's side, where you kind of... It'd be weird. You'd have to twist the story a bit because you're ultimately going to lose to the good guys. But, I mean, it'd be
also
interesting.
what Reach was.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. But it'd be an interesting perspective to play as Rom for a little bit and just tear through Gears and then
Rom Shadow was great.
Switch over to I don't know,
they did that. I mean, with what Rom Shadow, they did that where you could play as
full on.
Full on games.
If they would have flushed that out more, that would have been phenomenal. Where you play, Transformers did it a little bit, where you played as the Decepticons and the Autobots, and I think that's why I like that. So it was the same event, and you were seeing 2 different perspectives of it. So yeah, you play through the game twice, but you're getting a different experience each time. So, I mean, that's artificial extension of gameplay time done properly, though.
Yeah, I really, really enjoy it. Very few games have done it. I know a lot of movies do it. I went to Go because that's the only one that popped in my head. But I know I've seen it a lot of times where you're seeing just the same events from different perspectives. It's really cool. I know TV shows do it a lot. Almost every long-running TV show has those 3 or 4 go-to episodes where one's a musical, even though it doesn't fit in with the story very well.
Buffy. They did phenomenal with Buffy.
Really? Because I know like 70 Show had one and Scrubs had one.
Yeah, I hate when they do that.
Buffy won an Emmy for their musical episode.
Then there's always a flashback episode, and there's always that one episode that is 8 or... Because, you know, those episodes only go for 21 minutes. They're like 7 or 8 episodes, and then you re-see it from the other guy's perspective, and you re-see it a third time, and... I like that kind of storytelling. I really do. I think it's badass. So, I mean...
I agree.
I really enjoyed Resident Evil 6. I think they did a really good job. I know it didn't fare very well in the reviews. And I'm usually on the other side of the general population with Resident Evils. The ones I enjoy, people really didn't. And the ones that people really do, I think suck balls.
We're not going there.
What did you think about Inception? Because they kind of did something like that as well.
Never seen it.
You've never seen Inception. You might love it for the fact that it's very similar to that, but it's got its own take on it.
Yeah. I might check that shit out, though.
Yeah.
I'll let you borrow it.
It's great.
Fuck
It's one of my all-time favorites.
Nice. Fucking A. Okay, so that was this. All right, what do you guys think of mini missions? And what I mean by that is, we sometimes they're used as training devices when you first open a game. I'm trying to think of something you guys played. Like I
Call
ran
of Duty had the training rooms, like the first level, just set your
sort
difficulty.
of, but they're different. Like I know BioShock. You played the first few hours of
Yeah.
Infinite, right? Okay, then you would get, because this is the one that made me think about it. When you're initially starting, they have those arcade games.
Oh, yeah,
in
yeah.
Colombia that are cool, and they kind of show you the ropes at the same time. I'm trying to think of a
Yeah, they're
really
like- they're-
well-known example so the reader or the listeners out there can understand.
Well, like how they did it was like carnival games that like kind of explain the core mechanics of it while you did it. So it was like a shooting one. What were some of the other ones? I don't remember.
to control the plasmas. I know. Call of
Oh,
Duty.
yeah.
Call of Duty does them a lot too, with because that's something that's more mainstream that people out there would be familiar with. You know how the game's primarily a first-person shooter. It's how 99% of the game is. But then they have those missions where you're in a tank, or they have
In a helicopter.
yeah, or you're flying a plane, or you're doing something else, or you're ziplining.
AC-130 above.
Yeah, and you're not exactly in that first-person perspective, just shooting a gun. You're doing something differently.
Gears even did it when you're riding on the reavers.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Those that's a little bit of
Change
an
of pace,
extension
yeah.
on the mini
Yeah.
game. But yeah, what do you guys think about them shits?
Usually, it matters who they are because like Spec Ops: The Line had that too. Where they had the gunner mission as well, and to an extent, most of them come out all right, but some of them are very boring. Like they're very even Spec Ops: The Line kind of fell into that as well. It was just gunner mission. It's
generic.
Little helicopters are going to come after you, and you have to do it twice in that game.
You know what I really liked? Legend of Zelda does it pretty well. Well, you'll walk into a shop and it's like a little archery range, and it's a little side mission.
Zelda, exactly.
But-
They have tons of them.
But when you do it, usually you get a special item. Maybe not something that you necessarily need, but will benefit you. An extra jar, or a heart piece and things like that that'll advance the gameplay experience a little bit.
Yeah.
If done properly, just like anything else, if done properly, I'm okay with them. As long as they don't take you too far out of the element. If it's like with the archery ones, I know it was almost perfecting my skills by doing those and the timing and everything and the repetition and getting used to, I think as to where with like Call of Duty, they just throw you in a plane. It's just like bomb shit. It's like,
Hey, that
this
was
is
awesome.
just generic filler. I'm not getting anything out of it. Yeah, it's kind of cool for 5 minutes, but I don't need to do, I don't need to
Oh,
do it
yeah.
again.
I mean, Ocarina of Time's a great example because they had those weird inverted controls on the C button that you weren't able to flip. And I know when you pull out your slingshot, it's really weird to control it. And I know without going through their mini games, I don't think
can't,
I
yeah.
would have been able to control that thing at all to later take on the spiders or whatever
Yeah.
the hell they're called. I don't know the
Skulltulas.
official. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
No.
Those are fucking interesting too. I know we kind of touched on it a bit earlier, but we didn't really focus on it, and that's collectibles. What do you guys think about those?
It matters the game sometimes. Like literally, Saints Row, I did collect all of them because each one gave you a few $1,000s. I'm trying to games where I have and I haven't.
The ones that are pissing me off right now are that I still haven't gotten are Arkham City. All the fucking Riddler ones.
I didn't even try for those. I had no.
I
I
like
care
the
to
ones
do
where
that.
you have to fly around and it's the spray painted Riddler symbols and the ones that are the little death traps. But getting all the stupid little Riddler trophies, I hate that. It's annoying.
I hate the ones where you didn't have to touch the ground. That's a perfect game where I didn't even like. If I got them, cool. I didn't care. Arkham Asylum, the first one, I did get 25% of them or so.
I
didn't-
got stuck on one set of fucking Joker teeth.
I got
one set.
I got every single thing in our.
I got it. I got it. 6 months later, I decided to pop it back in the day before I traded it in.
The Saboteur had 739. I got every single one of those because that was one of the most fun collectible games I ever played. Because each one of them, they weren't really collectibles. They were blow this up. And the explosions of that game were the biggest, coolest thing in the whole game. So I did walk around every inch of the map and blew up every guard tower, every tank, every whatever.
Yeah, a lot of games seem to do it right. Well, some do it very, very wrong. I know I alluded to it earlier with Uncharted. It's really cool how they do it because it's not necessary.
Yeah, I did that in the first one and second one too. Actually, I had all the collectibles.
Then there's certain games that it's just like there's no fucking point or will or drive, and then some of them like you run into like Bioshocks, where if you don't collect in Bioshock, you're missing story.
Yeah,
Because they
same thing with Dead Space.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you don't pick up the audio logs or the Vox phones or whatever they're called, even going back to the first one, you wouldn't get the creepiness of Andrew Ryan if you just chose to not pick up any of the...
That's why most of them were slightly hitting, because they wanted you to, go up and click them. And then there was those secret ones that, sometimes did throw a different element of the character at you, which is kind of cool.
I feel that there's just too much of them, though.
I agree as
you
well.
Look back
Certain games have to make them interesting.
Yeah, you look back to like when this stuff started, and I use like it was probably before this, but the earliest one I can think of that did it pretty well was Resistance 1, Resistance Fall of Man. There's like 22 missions. I'm guessing it's low 20s. I don't remember exactly. There's one collectible per mission. It's a letter that does contribute to the story, and they're not really hard to find. They're kind of out in the open, and they kind of glow. They do that half glow, on,
nice
off,
shader
on,
off.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you could see them from afar, and that's cool. They contribute to the story. You don't have to kill yourself. Then you take something like Arkham City, and it's just like there's like 100 and something. It's like Jesus Christ, guys.
I don't care about the Gears and collectibles, but I've been doing them.
I really like the ones in Gears 3. Like, Gears 1 and 2 were just cog tags.
Yeah.
I didn't give a shit. But Gears 3, there were different things. And if you read all of them, you kind of got a little bit of a backstory. And there's a couple of interesting ones, like where in Gears 2... when you're in the rockworm and it's starting to bleed, there's one as you're running by that you got to stop and grab on the way. And if you don't get it, you don't get it. I mean, there's one per level. When handled in small doses, I'm okay with collectibles.
It's just, I feel like it takes too much away from the story. I understand they're throwing more and more in, and the numbers keep growing as the years go by because you want to, like we're saying, extend the game artificially. You want to give people reasons to keep replaying the same levels.
Explore.
Yeah, make people explore every little nook and cranny in the game.
Infamous 1, their collectibles gave you more bars for power, and some of them were just a pain to find.
But I mean, I don't know. I rather, that's one of the things I'm 100%. I'd rather have much, much less of them and have them mean a little bit more.
I do too. I just, for me, it's more about the meaning and does it benefit me in game helps out a lot. Because, even though I have gone, Uncharted ones, they don't really matter. I did collect them. The early cog tags, do I really know who that is? No. I still collected some of them just because it was achievements. But there's been a ton of games that do collectibles right, and there's a ton of games that do it where I just don't care. I'm doing it for an achievement that I would have never done before.
Call of Duty's are always achievements. They're called, the intels? You have to pick up the intels. There's 1 or 2 on every level. They don't overdo it, which is good for them. They're pretty well hidden, though.
Yeah, they are.
I usually have to watch tutorials. I have to watch tutorials usually for those, which are weird because of how extremely linear those games are, and they still find pretty good hiding spots for those kind of things.
I really think that also has a lot to do with they have an infinite spawner on their stuff, so literally you're constantly fighting people. You don't have those few minutes to go explore every building.
Where you clear a room and you could walk back and just check everything out.
One of my faults with the game as well, but it just, the collectibles are hard to find because it's always frantic.
Yeah. But again, that's like what Mark was just saying. I mean, that's literally for an achievement. It's not, those little intel suitcases don't add anything to the story. I mean,
I don't think they give you a text or anything to read.
They used to, the old Call of Duty.
Did they? Okay, I can't remember.
Yeah, like the first couple used to fucking actually add a little bit something to it, but I don't know.
I think they were, collectibles became a thing because people were picking up health packs.
Really?
Maybe.
I just think...
Gotta have some shit on the ground to get.
Yeah. I mean, you go back to some of the older games and you didn't need all this shit. A couple collectibles were cool, a couple extra keys, a couple extra rooms that were hidden, and that was all that was left to explore. Now there's just such an insane amount of shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's pretty much what I got.
Anything else?
Want to hop into some final thoughts?
Yeah, that works for me.
Unless you guys wanted to add something beforehand.
No, I mean, final thoughts. I mean, I like meaningful collectibles. Stories that span over 10 hours would be really nice. And make your achievements in your collectibles mean something. I think so many developers don't use their achievements correctly. I think they just throw them in, they needed to
Seriously,
get 1,000 points.
3.0.
Yeah, that's a great example. That's just for the diehards who want to spend $100, $200 on the game.
I mean, like, I consider myself a diehard Gears fan.
I'm
not
for it.
getting that shit.
No, I
Never
don't
gonna
even
happen.
care.
I think there's just a total wrong use of trophies and achievements. I think there's just too much. It's starting to turn into collectibles. When achievements started, there was 5 or 6. Okay, you can beat entire games and have 200 gamer score out of 1,000. That's wrong.
You should have 800.
Yeah, there's stuff.
Yeah.
There's stuff like watch the opening scene achievement. What?
Simpsons. Press start.
Press start. What?
That one was
Like,
awesome, though.
No, it's dumb. The achievements should be for each achieving something, but they shouldn't be so hard where you run into stuff like Seriously 3.0 either.
The grind achievements.
I think
I can understand.
I like the unique ones.
I could understand having an achievement like Seriously 3.0 if they gave, instead of like 160 for beating the game.
Yeah.
Then I can understand if that's that one achievement that really means something. Then
if you beat
my
a
gamer score, if my I beat the game and I'm sitting at like 600, 700, 800. Okay, I understand. These ones are the hard ones. Go back and do this, whatever the case may be. That's the other thing that's really pissing me off, and it's a generic way of extending your gameplay is multiplayer achievements. I understand having 1 or 2, but like 90% of your game should not be fucking multiplayer.
Do you have your Tomb Raider
achievements.
achievements?
No, but that's another thing Uncharted does above and beyond everybody else with multiplayer.
They do it very
Uncharted
well.
is try this mode trophy.
Bronze trophies.
Play one round doing this mode just to get you to turn it on, get you into the server, and see if you like it.
Yeah.
Not
I know
do
they're a little
1,000 matches
easy.
and max level.
Get 20 headshots in one round.
Like, I'm a firm
What?
believer that in the wrestling games there should not be any online achievements. With how broken that their online system is.
The fighting games always have ridiculous online ones. I think it was Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Was win like 500 or 1,000 matches online.
Yeah.
Ranked. I mean, dude, first off, you have to be good enough to actually win one out of every 10 matches.
The most like reasonable one I've ever seen was one of the WWE games, like the first year that they had the online for Xbox. It was like win 10 ranked matches online.
That's fine.
Okay,
Very, very similar to the Medal of Honor reboot. They did multiplayer very well as well. They had stuff like play this mode for half an hour. So you got to play 2 or 3 matches, and boom, the achievement would pop. Play this mode for 2 or 3 hours, and that's it. They had their 5 or 6 multiplayer achievements. They were all very easy to get. They just wanted you to experience the multiplayer side of that game as opposed to strictly sticking with the campaign.
Yeah. People.
Stuff like that.
Told you I gotta go to work.
Yeah, we gotta wrap this up because Jason's gotta go. Okay, did you do final thoughts? You were talking about the achievement thing, right?
I mean, that's pretty much my.
Yeah. For me, it's like I said, I'd rather have more compact, non-fluffer, non-menial mission, just get rid of all that crap. Give me a clean 8 to 10 hour campaign to run through and let me move on to the next game. I know everybody's worried about keeping your, trade-in values and trying to keep them in your arms for as long as possible to sell it to the maximum amount of people. So none of the stuff we want will ever come.
If the thing though is if you give an engrossing gameplay and you give people a reason to go back and play that game, you don't need generic things like fucking multiplayer. Okay, Batman doesn't need multiplayer. Okay, if you have a good quality story, people will go back and play that.
Spec Ops: The Line is one of the greatest stories I've played this generation. The game could have used a little bit more polish.
Yeah.
And if they took away the man hours they poured into multiplayer and gave
Definitely.
that game a little more polish, that shit would have been one of the great games of the generation.
They would have thousands of hours of work time that they could have thrown into the single player, and that's all they needed.
Yeah, and that thing would have been great. Or add one more mission.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. Nice. Very nice. Is that about it?
Yep.
Okay. This has been episode 65, part 2. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Catch us next week, same time, same place.
Enjoy spring.
Hey!
All right. Oh, God. Is it time for,